Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Satoli, and today I'm near Dayton, Ohio with a friend of mine, Jeff Shore, and we're at an abandoned airport. Jeff is going to explain it a lot better than I could, so let's get into it. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm great. Good to see you, Satoli.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for coming out and doing this video on Dahio Airport, Trotwood, Ohio. Okay. Dahio was built by the federal government sometime about 1943 as a reliever refueling airport for the planes that the government built in Kansas for Lend-Lease.
For the war.
For World War II. In other words, they were built, I believe, in Wichita. They flew east and of course needed to be refueled before they got to the East Coast. And once they reached the East Coast, they took on fuel again, went up, got refueled in Iceland, and then flown back southeast to Europe for Lend-Lease, whether that was for France or Russia or any of the Allies. So as a kid, as I told you, this was always just the airport out there west of Trotwood. But then as an adult and as a businessman, you know, I drive by here and I think there's no way anyone with any kind of private capital could build such a big infrastructure out here in the middle of nowhere. So I started doing some investigating, and the information I got was from a friend of mine whose best friend from high school's family owned this in the 50s. And so that's where a lot of the history that I am going to tell you about came from. Okay. Richmond Municipal Airport, as it stands now, is a real small airport southeast of Richmond, Indiana, and that was the main refueling point for all of the airplanes coming from Kansas. If for some reason they couldn't get to Richmond, whether it was weather or busy or out of fuel or whatever it was, this was a backup refueling airport.
And that's why this was built as
that's
a backup.
why exactly. That's why this was built. So I have some pictures. There were two enormously big hangars here. With the one of them we just talked about that had the hay in it, it's gone now, but this one remains. So I would guess, you know, the Army Air Corps built this about 1943.
Okay.
So that this could be the backup refueling airport for those airplanes.
And just curious, I don't know a lot about the airplanes back then, but how many of those could get in a hangar this size? Two? I would
probably two or four. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not sure. You and I were just out at the runway, and I believe that runway is 2,900 feet, and you brought up a good point. That's not a really very long runway for landing big airplanes. Of course, that was before jets, you know, so these were, propeller planes. But I guess it was long enough for them to land and get refueled if they needed to.
And now the airstrip is just covered over with grass coming up through all the cracks and seams.
Right.
You got corn on either side of it.
Yep. So this truly is an abandoned airport. I think I'd say, truly is an abandoned airport.
So that friend of yours, his dad owned this at one time?
Yes.
And how busy was this back then?
Well, it was busy enough. It was busy enough, at least from 1943 to 1945, that it had a fixed, they call it a fixed field-based operator. I don't know what that means. You may know what it means. People watching this may know what it means.
Leave a comment.
Yeah, hey, please. And so it was manned, as I understand it, 24/7 for a couple of years, and then once the war ended, there was no need for the government to have this, so it went into whatever that term is that the government uses, unused assets or unneeded assets, and I don't know if someone personally bought it, but as I told you, I had a lot of friends from Trotwood here whose dads had airplanes that flew out of here in the late 50s, the 1960s, and the early 70s. So there was quite a bit of activity 55, 60 years ago out here.
And when did it eventually close, did you say?
Well, you know, I came by here, my folks just live not too far away, and I live south of here, so I came by here often just as a way, you know, going to and from my folks' house. And I don't think I've seen much activity here in the last 10 years, say since 2015 or so.
So it's probably been closed since
long time, yeah,
okay.
Long time.
Okay. And you've never flown out of here, correct?
I've never flown, yeah. You get me on a roof and I'm scared of heights. I have no interest in flying in a private plane.
But we were in the office earlier, and they still have a board up there with information about flight schools and cost and
yep, and plane rides and training and I told you this earlier, but I stopped out here about 10 years ago and dropped off a business card because we sold aviation, Shell and Phillips aviation oil for years, and I dropped off a business card, said, hey, if you need anything, give me a call, I'll be happy to drop it off and whatever. So we walk in here and there's some of the Phillips aviation 2050 empty bottles. So I don't think we sold it to them, but you know,
it's like they just walked out.
It was like it was a fun thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is neat. So there's what a half a dozen hangars up.
I think there's 4, maybe. Yeah, maybe 4? A half a dozen. Yeah.
And then you've got this one, and then the other one.
Yep.
And then this is just amazing, you know. And I'm sure the locals know about this, but you know, people from down in Dearborn County, Indiana, unless you're into airplanes big time.
Exactly. You know, the photos that I posted over the years about Dahio here, I get comments, oh, I remember as a kid we'd watch the air show, or I remember planes landing and sitting on the back porch and watching them land and that kind of thing. So it brought back a lot of neat memories for people that remember this.
So they had air shows here then?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
The family that this Mike guy was telling me, he said, yeah, we used to sit on our porch and watch them, and I don't know if his house is the one there or the one up there. So it just brought back a lot of good memories for some people.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat. This
is a cool place. I had no idea it existed until a week ago when you told me.
Yeah.
And I said, let's go up and do it.
Yep.
Well, thanks for telling me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming out and setting your stuff up. Always good to see you. And whenever your YouTube videos come up, the first thing I do in the morning when I open my Facebook, okay, what's Satoli got today?
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Satoli. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.